So, Tyson, it's been a couple weeks now. Been in class. Things are going all right?
Yeah? They're going good. I've survived so far and getting to meet the students.
Good. Tell me about what's going well so far.
I think the best thing that's happening in the classroom right now is we're starting to build some sort of community. I did a lot of icebreakers and tried to do some fun activities where the students got to meet each other that weren't necessarily academic. And I think I'm establishing a good rapport with the students, and I think they're establishing a good rapport with each other too.
I know when I've been in here in the very beginning of the year, people seemed really comfortable with each other and comfortable with you, and there was some joking, which is a good sign, I think, in the beginning of the year that people are feeling at ease. So, anything else that you think is going really well in the first couple weeks?
I am getting more familiar with the content. So at first I was a little uneasy, I guess, about the content. I had the book and a couple, of course, syllabi, but I wasn't sure, okay, where do you start?
Right.
That was a big, that was frightful for that last weekend right before school started is, okay, what am I going to do? Where do I start here? And I'm becoming more familiar with that and starting to find out where the resources are around the school too.
Okay, good.
To get some more information. Just I'm a little nervous about moving, transition from the real relaxed classroom where I'm able to joke with the kids and being able to move towards being able to change the channel and get to work.
Okay.
I've seen some things arise that have concerned me where I'm wondering, okay, how am I going to make that transition from this person who's working to get icebreakers and doing some fun things in the classroom to being a facilitator for the content.
So let me see if I understand what you're saying. So you're one of your concerns is how to go from this kind of fun community that you're starting to establish to really getting to the work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely doing that and keeping the kids' enthusiasm.
But are there other things that are kind of big concerns right now? I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the beginning of the year.
Classroom management.
Okay.
Things, working with 30 students is a new thing for me,
okay.
So that's a concern.
Okay. Can you say anything else about that in particular? What issues have arisen around classroom management?
I think the biggest thing is to try to get kids focused and not talking and engaged when I'm talking or when other students are talking.
Okay.
And I think at least being respectful is what I'm looking for, and trying to figure out how to do that without punishing. I guess, trying to get some positive reinforcement and trying to make the kids, trying to help the kids make right choices.
Okay. So to go back to a couple of your concerns, because I think I clued in on something important here, is you have this real desire to have students engaged in what you're doing and a concern about transitioning from this kind of creating this environment now to really embedding the content. And it sounds like what you're saying is when you started to put content in, the engagement kind of...
Yeah.
Let's kind of brainstorm some questions that might engage students around the study of Africa. What kinds of things that they want to know about or what might be interesting to them. Do you have any ideas?
Like for beginning the unit?
Sure.
I think the one place I wanted to start is find out what do kids know about Africa.
Okay.
Which is real general, but then also how do they perceive Africa, or how is Africa, what does Africa mean to them?
Okay. So that's really interesting. There's a strategy called the KWL, which is basically K stands for know, W stands for want to know, and L stands for the learn. It's you come back to after they've learned it. So this could be a way to get at perceptions, is to maybe get a big chart of these things up here, and students can really tell you everything that they know or think they know at this point. What do they perceive about Africa? What are they bringing to the table about the study of Africa? And then you could have them brainstorm some questions. What are some things that they can even, and some of these things might then become some of your journal topics, things that they really want to know. And we can then look for, what resources are in the book, what other modern day resources are out there that we can find that might help answer some of those questions of things that they are really interested in knowing. Does that sound like a possible way to go?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. So what would you say, if I were to be a student, what would be an excellent journal? What are you looking for? What are you looking for students to do there?
I try to set it up so we're linking what we did last time to what we're doing this time in the class.
Okay. And what about, do you have an expectation for length or how long they're supposed to write, or?
Well, that was a tough one, and I started out, right now I tell them they have to have 4 sentences, a paragraph.
In 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes, yeah. And what I was really hoping is that with maybe the lack of structure, that the kids would talk about it before they wrote. But I'm not sure if I set it up to reach that goal.
Okay. Well, let me give you some suggestions or some ideas, and maybe just from experience you can kind of see if any of these would work for you. One I found is that students really it helps if students know up front what the expectations are. So if you have, and it seems like in 10 minutes, 4 sentences isn't very much for 10 minutes. So I might suggest either, if you want to stay with the 4 sentences, either shortening the time or asking more of them. And then maybe you want to build in some, and we can look through some of the things that they've done, find some good samples, put those up at the beginning and say, here's some really good samples. What do you guys notice about what these good ones have? And they can kind of pull out the qualities that you're looking for.
And let the students maybe try to evaluate them first.
Sure.
Using the collaborative assessment log promotes the planning of next steps and clarifies commitments. Agreements are recorded in the log and provide a level of accountability for both the mentor and new teacher.
So right up front, let me see if I can, I'm going to add to one of my next steps to hook you up with a couple of veteran global studies and world history teachers who have lots of resources and are really willing to share. Some of them I've worked with. So
that would be great.
Okay. And then also in the social science department, there's a group of materials called the TCI materials. I don't know if you've heard anybody talk about this.
I've seen them, but I've been so overwhelmed with information, I guess I haven't got into it.
Okay, so we'll walk over there and we'll really talk through those, because there's a lot of good activities in there that I think would really support what you're doing in these different regions. And then for you, let's see, maybe you can just kind of summarize what your next steps are going to be for me.
I'd like to start using some of these tools, like with the journal things, but I think what I need to focus on is the content and setting up the class period to engage the students. And I think the first step would be seeking out Miss Anagnoston and trying to get some activities and different projects, maybe group projects that would work, that would keep the students engaged, and as well as within the content area.
Okay, you were going to look for some articles around these issues, and I have here, and as long as you're willing, I'd like to see you try this KWL strategy, try it out, and then we can also talk about how that went next time. And so for next time, we'll be kind of continuing to work on this closure piece, but also planning in general, building in your content now. Does that sound good?
Yeah, definitely.
And we can meet fifth period again next week, next Thursday. All right, sounds good.
In addition to setting the date and focus for the next mentor visit, another portion of the log helps identify